This is the story of a world contained within a cramped, semi-detached house on the suburban edge of the quiet, historic town of Ballinahone. A world where everyone was family, yet their hearts were miles apart, chained by suspicion and the cold venom of old grudges. It was the moment when relatives stood face to face, each claiming what they believed was their right, and humanity's most delicate chapter, innocence, was not just damaged, but completely crushed. Liam, his wife Ailsa, their daughter Chloe, and several other relatives lived under the same roof. Liam was a simple, hard-working man who struggled daily to provide for the family. Ailsa managed the home, and 5-year-old Chloe was the brightest sound that house ever heard, a burst of pure laughter and light. For years, a slow-burning conflict over inheritance and property had poisoned the family from within. Petty insults, sharp glances, and pointed words gradually grew into a toxic hatred. Arguments were so frequent that neighbors often mentioned the raised voices and slamming doors that echoed through the thin walls. Yet no one could have imagined that these ordinary quarrels would one day explode into a devastating tragedy. One night, while most members of the household slept, a sinister plan took shape, formed by the very people who shared the same blood. Chloe, sleeping peacefully beside her parents, was snatched in the silent darkness. Ailsa awoke to find her daughter missing. Panic turned into frantic searching, then screams. The entire house was turned inside out. The doors were locked. There were no signs of forced entry. Neighbors were alerted, then the police. When Detective Inspector Miller and his team arrived, everyone in the house was questioned. No clear answers surfaced, only the growing suspicion that the culprit was someone among them. As the investigation unfolded, troubling details emerged. Bitter relationships, constant fights, and deep resentment were well known in the neighborhood. Then came the tip-off that changed everything. This was not an outside abduction. It was a conspiracy rooted within the household itself. Under intense interrogation, a family member finally confessed. Chloe had been taken by someone inside the home. The horrifying truth soon unraveled. Ronan, Liam's own nephew, consumed by hatred and resentment, had plotted with his mother, Aoife. Believing they had been wronged in matters of inheritance, they devised a cruel plan to teach the family a lesson. In the name of settling old family scores, they ended Chloe's life. When Ronan confessed, Ballinahone fell silent in shock. In a chillingly calm voice, he said his motive was simply to make a point. Aoife dismissed her role as a mistake. But their crime was an assault on humanity itself, and the law took action. Chloe's remains were found, and the case went to court. Hearts broke as the courtroom confronted the question, how could a family fall to such darkness? The most haunting truth was this: the danger hadn't come from outside. It had been living with them all along. Not only was an innocent life stolen, but the sanctity of family bonds was shattered forever. The story carries a powerful lesson. When jealousy, greed, and vengeance take root inside us, we become our own worst enemies. Houses, land, and possessions are temporary. True wealth lies in honor, conscience, and morality. Once those fade, humanity dies long before any court delivers justice. Detective Inspector Miller later said, "We presented complete evidence. Justice will be served. But no verdict can ever bring back a smile that once lit up a home." This story ends with a quiet, unsettling truth. We must keep the lamps of love and patience glowing in our homes. Relationships survive not through force, but through understanding and dialogue. A small bitterness, if ignored, can erupt into a tragedy beyond imagination. This is not just Chloe's story. It is the story of every society where material gain takes precedence over family, compassion, and humanity. The safety of our children rests in our hands, and the first line of defense begins inside our own homes.